welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena. If you are new here, my partner Tyler and I are at the tail end of a very major kitchen renovation. In fact, we have quite literally taken the room from like being completely empty down to the studs to completely rebuilding it. And in this video, we are finally going to be doing something that I feel like we talked about in the past, but we are going to be building custom cabinet faces to our prefabricated cabinets that we purchased from our local big box hardware store. So if you're unfamiliar with what a prefab cabinet is, it's basically exactly as it's stated. It's a already built cabinet that you can buy from a local hardware store. It's designed so that you can literally walk in, get what you need, walk out same day. They're usually a lot more affordable because they're a little bit more basic in the layout that you can create, so there's nothing custom about it. It's usually unpainted, and yeah, it's a lot more affordable, so you can like kind of customize it based on what you think is best without, needing to order it in advance, etc., etc. So that said, that is what we installed in our kitchen. So far we have painted them and taken off the door fronts with the intention of building our own. So that is what we're doing in this week's video. We're going to be building our own door fronts, showing you the process, and showing you what they look like in the end. If you haven't already, definitely be sure to subscribe. It would really mean a lot to Tyler and I. We do a lot of hard work on our home and we share it because it's fun, and it means a lot to us when you guys do like and subscribe. But before I move on to Tyler starting the process, I did want to also say in our next video after this video, I would love to do a walkthrough of the kitchen and talk about how things have changed over time, kind of like our expectations versus realities. Obviously, I've shown you guys the entire process along the way. I've talked about how we created a design plan and a mood board, and you guys have seen us, do all of the things. So if you have any questions about any of the products that we use, some of the decisions that we made, anything that we would do differently, I would love to talk about that in our next video as I walk through and show everything. And yeah, I don't really ever do like a design the room with me because I don't feel like that. It doesn't, I feel like with homes, it takes time to get there, and we've been living with our kitchen for a hot minute now, so I'd love to show you guys kind of like a tour of the space. So think of your questions, drop them down below, and enjoy this video.
So now that you've seen our kitchen and how we've been living with it over the last few months, you can kind of see that we've been about 95% of the way there. Like, our kitchen is functional. It's where, you want it to be, but it's not quite over the finish line. And it's just been, a very useful kitchen that we've been able to live with, really been able to just figure things out as they come up. So we, over the past few months, have been figuring out, where appliances belong, what belongs where, how we're going to organize the space. And one thing that has never happened, just due to a lot of circumstances like travel, weather, availability, all of these things, is our cabinet doors. So up to this point, Lena and I have wanted to make our cabinet doors, but Mardi Gras happened, Christmas happened, so many things happened in between. And honestly, we've just never gotten around to it. So that's actually something that I want to work on this weekend. So our cabinet doors, our inspiration for them is actually this photo. This is really one of the core inspirations of our kitchen. It's like a really rustic, unfitted kitchen that I originally wanted our kitchen to look exactly like this. And why I like this is because I think this is a really compelling photo. It's like a very unique kitchen. You don't typically see this type of kitchen in an American house. So I was just super drawn to this, and I think it's so cool looking. And notice in there that we have these very simple cabinet doors. They are inset cabinet doors, meaning they don't sit out past the surface of the cabinet. And that's actually how old cabinet doors were. So back in the day, we didn't have all these complex cabinet door mechanisms like we have today. We didn't have these complex hinges. So cabinet doors literally sat on the surface, and they just used a very simple hinge to hold the door on. And that's what we're going for here. So I actually wanted to recreate this cabinet door, and here is an example of one of the first ones that we made. So essentially, what we're going to make today is a very simple cabinet door. It's literally just 1x4s, just a few of them, vertically, and then on the back, you have some horizontal pieces that just hold the whole thing together. And this thing is nailed together, glued, and screwed, so I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going to warp really over time. It might, but if it does, it's character. I don't think it's going to really sag because of all of the gluing and screwing. Frankly, gonna be honest, I overthought these things a lot. Like, for a while, I wanted to make this so complicated. I wanted to put a diagonal cross member. I was worried about them sagging. I was worried about so many different things. And then I just thought about it, and I said, you know what? I think it's gonna be good enough. Like, we're making very simple cabinet doors here. And let's just embrace it. Let's make them super simple. And I think that there's just going to be, they're gonna stand alone in the fact that they're very simple, they're not too complex, and we're just gonna let them shine as they are. So here's the cabinet doors that we're gonna make. It's just a bunch of 1x4s put together, and then some cross members on the back. And it's super simple to create these things. And I really like the aesthetic of these doors because it's like, it looks like something that was super handmade. Like, it's super simple. You didn't need a router. You didn't need all of these complex tools. It's literally like someone went to the store, they bought a bunch of planks of wood, they just nailed them together, and they put them up. And it's very utilitarian, and it feels very rustic. And that's exactly what I want to go for in this kitchen. So let me show you actually what these cabinet doors look like once they're installed. All right, so I'm here with the cabinet door that fits the exact cabinet that we built it to fit. So what we have here is our door, and then you can see that the door is inset. So it doesn't sit past the surface, it just sits right inside, and it's like flush with the surface of the cabinet. And then the hardware that we're gonna use is this. So it's kind of like a, I don't know, for some reason these things give me like a medieval vibe, but they're like forged steel. It's kind of like gate hardware is actually the best way that I would describe it. And essentially it's just gonna be right here, and it's gonna surface mount on here. And I just really like these cabinet doors. Like, I think they're so cool. I really like how simple they are. I like the lines. I like that they're not too complex, but they still look cool. So this is actually the first cabinet door that we had. This was really Lena and I's trial run, so we actually have to build a lot more of them. So let's start on that process. All right, so now that we're outside and we got everything set up, let's take a little bit of a closer look at how this thing is assembled so that we can start making the cuts. So essentially we got all of our vertical pieces. Our vertical pieces, we're gonna have a certain number based upon how wide the cabinet door opening is. And then we have our horizontal pieces. So in this case, for our shorter doors, we just have 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3. And then maybe for our pantry doors, where our pantry is really tall, those doors maybe we'll have double, maybe we'll have 6 horizontal pieces. But essentially, just bear this in mind as we move forward in making all of our cuts and, you know, assembling everything. And another thing that I wanted to show you is actually my guide. So on the scrap piece of wood, I wrote like literally everything out. I drew all the measurements. I had specific cut patterns. I calculated how much wood I needed to buy. I bought the wood, and then I never returned back to this project for like over a month. So now I have some very, very faded markings that you can barely see. But if I squint really hard, I can see my dimensions. So this is actually what I'm going off of for all of the doors. So let's start cutting, and then let's start assembling all of these.
So something that I have been thinking a lot about, especially as we've been nearing the end of our kitchen renovation project, is just how many preconceived notions I had about kitchen cabinets. First of all, whenever I was thinking about what cabinets we would do and like what path we would take, there were two major options that I feel like we had. Number one, we could get prefabricated cabinets from a big box hardware store or somewhere like IKEA. That was option one. Or option two, you could get custom built cabinetry from a carpenter or a cabinetry professional. And that to me felt really expensive. It felt a little beyond what we were willing to do because everything that we try to do for our home is number one, we're on a budget. Number two, we want to be able to do it ourselves. And number three, we wanted to be able to do it without sacrificing design. So with all of that in mind, we ultimately decided on getting a prefab cabinet from our local big box hardware store. And whenever we were looking at them, we just didn't love the cabinet faces. And that's kind of how we came up with the idea of, okay, let's just use the boxes and then we'll build our own cabinet faces. Now, when we decided that, we looked long and hard on Pinterest and just tried to pull inspiration for what we realistically could actually do, because even that is a little intimidating. We're like, okay, we're gonna make our own cabinet faces. Never done that before, but we sourced a photo of a kitchen that we loved, and we figured out that we really loved inset cabinet doors. And just that alone, we identified a style. We then, picked out, what our hinge would be like and all of the factors that felt a little intimidating. Because whenever you think about cabinet doors, you typically are thinking about the cabinetry hardware that opens the door that feels intimidating to install, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you've never done something before, it feels intimidating unless you're extremely experienced or confident, which I feel like a lot of times most of us aren't, and that's totally fine. But as you see on screen, it really is as simple as just cutting down a few pieces of wood, putting them together, and installing them. Like, obviously, this is a specific style. Like, if you're in this situation, you may not love this style, your house may be different, totally fine. But we get asked all the time, like, how is it that you guys know how to do all of this? How do you feel comfortable doing all of this? And to be honest with you guys, in the beginning of owning our home, we definitely did things differently than we would do them now. But that's the thing about learning all of these things and getting more experience is you get more comfortable as you go. And that's how you get more experience. And honestly, as time goes on, you'll find yourself being more comfortable and just knowing how to approach things that you're unfamiliar with. I think it's just putting yourself out there, figuring it out, and seeing what happens. I mean, that mixed with research, of course, I say that all the time, but I just wanted to talk about this because making these cabinet fronts was such a fun experience, and I'm so glad that we did it.
North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. We're part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. Discover more great shows. Started checking more parks off their list.
There was also a belief, really widespread belief, that heaven, finding down the different colours and consistencies of honey. You can
You're burning rubber, not cash.
So whether it's Cousin Kevin's kazoo concert and
Okay, so I just finished showing these and they came out so good. I've had this vision in my mind that I wanted a curtain underneath where our sink is and then also where our oven is, because this is where, not our oven, our stove is, because this is where we keep our microwave and our air fryer. And it was so easy. I have always viewed sewing as a little intimidating. I don't know why, but I always viewed like the barrier of entry to be complicated. Like, I don't know, I was just intimidated by the machine. But in the past like month or two, I have been teaching myself how to sew. And this is like the easiest of easy things that you could make. So it definitely gives you like a boost to your confidence to make something that looks really good and is super functional. I feel like the thing about sewing is that it's all about confidence. I feel like it's literally a testament of like fake it till you make it. Like you have to be like enthusiastically confident and accept the fact that you're gonna make mistakes. And yeah, sometimes you make something good along the way. You can only get better. I feel like that's the takeaway. So yeah, I love them. Now I'm happy we did this. Now to the doors. So I have talked about the cabinet fronts a lot, but I haven't actually talked about these door fronts. You guys may have seen what we are doing already, but we ultimately decided not to build them the same way that we did the actual doors. We instead decided to use some leftover beadboard that we had. As you see, we used beadboard as a backsplash, and it's all throughout the room. So we felt like it would just be the most logical conclusion, because this actual door front thickness, like the way it sits in order for it to be inset, it has to be incredibly thin. And we went back and forth about this, and we weren't sure how we would actually solve this problem until one time I was like, you know what, like it should just be beadboard. And honestly, in retrospect, I'm kind of glad it's beadboard. I feel like it breaks it up. It kind of ties into the beadboard backsplash that we have, and it just makes it look a little bit more cohesive. Instead of using like a piece of plywood or something that's flat, it adds a little bit more texture to the room. So I'm really happy that we did that. And also too, I wanted to note, we did not show this on camera, but we ended up putting some magnets to hold the doors in place so that they wouldn't swing a little bit inwards, so that they would just kind of catch right at the beginning and stay there. It took our cabinets from looking a little off to looking a little bit more professional. So there you have it, guys. That is our kitchen renovation. I cannot believe I'm saying that. I know in the YouTube world of existence, this is only like the 11th video, I think. But for us, this has taken months and months and months of work. So I'm so enthusiastic to be at the point that we're at right now. I said it at the beginning of this video, but I'll say it again. I really want to film a walkthrough now that we've been in the space over time, show you guys all of the details, tell you guys things that we may have missed, things that we've added. And yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to drop any of your thoughts down below. If it's a thought, if it's a question, I'd love to address it. And I will see you guys in our next video. Bye.